Hello students, welcome back. I hope you all are doing good. So in continuation to previous chapter where I demonstrated how you can create EC2 instance. So now today I will show you how we will now log in into the instance that we created in previous chapter. So in my previous chapter, I explained about EC2 instance, and now next one is how to log into this Linux instance. So we created a Linux instance, and now to get into this Linux instance, we need to know a few things. If you remember from previous chapter, we created when we were creating EC2 instance, we generated one PPK, one private key that we created. So what exactly this PPK is? So it stands for Putty Private Key, which is open source tool developed by Putty itself, and it is actually a combination of private key and public key, and it helped to establish a secure communication between the client and server. Then there is another form of the secure keys that is called as PAM key. So PAM key again, it helps to have communication between client and server, and it also gives the combination of private and public key pairs, and basically it is used when you are trying to connect from your Linux machine. So let's say if you want to connect from your Linux or from your Mac, then you would need PAM key. And then the third step I have mentioned here is the permissions. So for your PAM key, you need to make sure that the permissions are absolutely minimum permission, so that is only read only. So that's why I have written here this command chmod 400. So let's get started. I'll just show you how we are going to utilize it, and the first step, the first attempt that I will make is from my Windows machine. So this is the Windows machine, and here now I will be using the tool name is Putty. So I will use this tool to connect to the EC2 instance that we had created yesterday or in my previous chapter. Before that, let's quickly log in into our account, so that AWS console, we will go with IAM user because we had created one IAM user. But before that, you need to have account ID, because for a restricted user there is always account ID created. So we will use that account ID here. I will just put that in here. I have already demonstrated in previous chapters, but just to make you recall, so we will use here our user, and then I will use the password. Let me take the password here, and then we sign in. So here, if we go to EC2 section, the region here is showing Stockholm, but if you remember from the previous chapter, we had created instance in Mumbai region. So I'm just selecting now Mumbai region here, and then we will go. Okay, so this is just going some tips. You can always read it, they are valuable. So you see here, this is the instance that we had created yesterday. So then I will go now to instance state, and I will start the instance. It will take a while to start. I stopped it yesterday because if it keep running, then it consume my resources, and I used to play a lot. This is our free account, but yes, there are a certain limit every month. So if we go beyond that limit, then we will get charges on our debit or credit card that we have added into our account. So that's why it's wise that you do practical and then you stop your instance or other services which are not needed. So for practical perspective, use it for the time period, and then just either remove or stop if it's your instance. And now here we will use this public IP address. I'll just copy it. Now let's go back to Windows machine. I will just paste it here, and then important thing is to map the key that we had downloaded yesterday. So go to auth, and then credentials, and here private key file for authentication. So I will browse. I had downloaded that into download section. You see here it was downloaded yesterday, that is 18th. I will just open it. Now I go back to session. You can save it also, let's say, so that next time if you have to. So I just make CS365 test EC2, and I call it class VM. So I will just save it. You see the other one I have created here also. So just to differentiate, I will now open it, and now it is asking me. So now I will add here EC2 user, and there we go. So with this private key, now I am able to get into the server. So I am now logged in into my this newly created EC2 instance. And if we just do here IPA, that is just to list the IP address, you will see here the local IP address, which is here 172.31.42.2. And if we go back to browser, and if you see here, this is the private IP address 172.31.42.2, and same we see here 172.31.42.2. So that means we are in correct instance. And now the next step always is to just switch to root and always the rule of thumb is that whenever you are building a new server, the first thing should be yum update. So this yum update command is actually a bit old, however it is still supported. However, now RHEL supported versions 8 onwards, they actually support DNF command, so you can use DNF update. And you see here, as I told, it support both the commands, DNF as well as the old one, that is yum update. However, this is latest Amazon image and there is nothing to be updated, so this system is up to date, and you can always check like the kernel version that is in use. So this is how we get into our server. Now this is the login we made is from the Windows machine, but like what if you have a Linux machine or you have a Mac machine, then how you will log in? So then in that case you will need a PAM key. Instead of PPK, you will need a PAM key. And for PAM key, then what we have to do is we have to generate a PAM key. And as I explained what PAM key is, its full form is privacy enhanced mail. So it was created long back to secure emails, but now it has become a trend to use it to have secure communication between the client and servers. So we are using it because since it is giving combination of private and public keys. But since in our previous session where we created new EC2 instance, we created PPK key. So how you will convert it to PAM? So what we can do is here, like Putty, there is a tool, and the tool name is ch11. Just open this, and here you have to go to now I'm showing you how to convert PPK into PAM. So I'm just going to do the conversion. So I'm just going to do the conversion from PPK to PAM. So load private key. I go here, I go to download section. This is the key that we have. I open it up here. Now it is loaded into my Putty key generator. Here important is always keep a passphrase. It's really important because this gives additional security layer to your private key files. Because if someone, let's say, somehow stole your keys, but still if he don't know the key passphrase, then he will not be able to connect to your system. So I will just give some passphrase here. And then I will again save it somewhere. So I will save it, let's say here. I will call it, so this is protected, but this is just still I saved it as a PPK only, but our motive is to generate PAM key. So for that, now we will go to conversion, we go to export open SSH key, and then I will keep it under downloads, and here we will call it like this, same, but we call it PAM key .pam, and then I will save it. So now if we go to downloads, you see here it is saved as a PAM key, and this is the one now we will use to log in from Linux shell or Mac. So I have my Mac shell. I will pull my Mac shell here. I will bring it here. So here now I will show you how we can use our PAM key. So if I type in here pwd, I'm sitting here. However, I would like to go to downloads. I will go to downloads, and here if we just do the list to the name of file, it is starting with cs365. So cs365, and you see here this is the latest one that we just created a few minutes back, and this is the one that I will be using now to login. And how we can log in is ssh-i, it stands for identity key. Now I will use this identity key, cs365 key pair 2, and then it is dash pem. So this is what we are using. And now username ec2 dash user at the rate IP address of our server. So let's copy the IP address. This is the public IP address. I use it here and enter. So it is adding this into my authorization key section, and here you see some error is given, and I did it deliberately because if you remember what I have written here, permissions. So for your PAM key, you need to make sure that the permissions are restricted one. So that means now it wants us to give permissions to this key only read only. It should be only read only. So here we change the permission. If you now do ls-latr, then you see now it's only read only. This is what we want. So now I will use just up arrow key, and now ssh-i, again the key pair and then my server name, and this time it will now prompt for the passphrase. So this is another security layer that we have added. I entered the correct passphrase, and now I am able to log in into the server. So you see again, if I do IPA, we are now sitting inside the server. So this is how you can log into your newly created EC2 instance, and then the next is always to start building different softwares, the purpose for which you have created your EC2 instance. So today I demonstrated you the purpose of PPK key, how you can use Windows tools like PuTTY to log into, or MobileXterm to log in into your EC2 instance using your PPK security key files. And if you are logging in from Linux or Unix or any Mac operating system, then you can use PAM. And to convert PPK to PAM, you can use PuTTYgen Windows tool to convert it. So that was it for this session, and I'll see you in my next session where I will show you various options to connect to your EC2 instance through Amazon Web Console. Thank you. See you in next chapter. So subscribe, like, and hit bell icon to my channel. Thank you.